Today, we're going to be talking about some day two NFL draft prospects that the Washington Commanders might want to take a chance on in this upcoming NFL draft. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and follow the channel as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football daily. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we are talking about some day two NFL draft prospects that the Washington Commanders might want to take a chance on in this upcoming NFL draft. And so I know we've been talking a lot about round one for the Washington Commanders and who they might take at pick number 7. And trust me, we're going to be talking some more about some players that could possibly fall to the Washington Commanders and make some sense there. But I thought that this would be a great time now to take a look at what the Washington Commanders could do in day number 2, because I do think that day 2 of the NFL draft is going to be just as important to the Washington Commanders as day 1, because when you're talking about day 2, you're really taking chances with players that could potentially start for you. You're taking chances with players that you feel like can really fill out your roster and can help you out there. We know with the injuries and things like that that happened to the Washington Commanders this last season, you want to make sure that you have some good players that you can throw out there, you can trust to help you continue to try to win football games. And so that's why when you're looking at day 2 and beyond in the NFL draft, that is very important. And to be honest with you, that is really where you might be able to find some gems out there. And so this is why I always like to take a look at your day 2 picks and beyond in the NFL draft. And so it's going to be important for the Washington Commanders. It's really going to be important for every team in the National Football League. And so anyway, I got a chance to look at 2 mock drafts. And so one was done on Riggo's Rag, the other one on NFL.com. And so if you want to take a look at this, you can head over to Riggo's Rag. You can read about that. This is a mock draft for 7 rounds for the Washington Commanders. Then you can go over here to NFL.com. You can see what they have the Washington Commanders taking for 7 rounds there. And so today we're going to be looking at round number 3. And so this is going to be the next pick after round 1 for the Washington Commanders, because going into this draft, the Washington Commanders will not have a second round pick. The Washington Commanders will pick in round 1. They'll pick in round 3. They'll pick in round 5. And right now they have 2 6-round picks and 1 pick in round 7. And so we're looking at round 3. Again, these are potential players that could fall to the Washington Commanders based off these articles. We're going to talk about it. So round 3 at the Riggo's Rag, the Washington Commanders are selecting a safety, according to them, and this safety is Genesis Smith. And so Genesis Smith, he played for the University of Arizona. He's played for them the last 3 seasons here, and he is coming in at 6'2", 202. He's a free safety, and he's also played strong safety and nickelback. And so let's start there. And so I love the fact that he is versatile, where he's played multiple positions, the free safety, strong safety, and nickelback. I think that the Washington Commanders really need to bring in players that are chess pieces. And so that's the first thing that I do like about him. Next, I love his length. And so at 6'2", 202, I think that he has some good length and also too a nice wingspan as well. I think that that is something that the Washington Commanders certainly would want on the back line of their defense here. And so I like that. Next with him, I think he's a natural leader. And so I believe he was the team captain there for the University of Arizona. And you know that Dan Quinn always talks about leadership with players and things like that off the field. He ran, I believe, a charity event there, which gave gifts to families and things like that, from what I'm reading in his NFL draft buzz profile. And so that is leadership. You love seeing that. And so I think that that naturally is going to translate into the National Football League, or really on the football field, when you're talking about going out and leading on those types of things like that. And then next, with him, I think that you're looking at a player that, as we're seeing with just some of the clips and things like that, with the way that he can run with his speed and everything like that, he might be able to take away some of the chunk plays and the big plays. And so that is something that is talked about with him, is his ability to kind of take away the big plays and the mistakes that could happen in coverage. You're looking at a safety that could play the cover 1 and the cover 3. And again, I think that the speed is something that's there, because when you look at him coming in and out of the breaks, you can see the speed there. which is another plus with him. He's very fluid coming out of his breaks and things like that when you look at the clips and stuff. And so I do like all of that. And so next, just looking at the things that he's going to have to get better at the next level, it's really his ability to be, I think, a thumper. Like he really struggles, I think, at times with the technique to come up and really apply the pressure to the ball carrier like he should in the tackling situations. And so what I mean by that is, number one, I think that he could hit a lot harder. And then number two, I think just the technique about it. And so sometimes he doesn't get down, I think, low enough, kind of break down right there and kind of run through ball carriers. And so I think that that's something that he's going to have to fix. The next thing too is at times he maybe takes some angles that you don't like. Some of the other things that I've read here is that he gets caught really in blocks and stuff like that. So he's going to have to get better as far as just getting caught in the trash and getting out of those blocks and getting disengaged and getting downhill. But I do like the fact that when it came down to some of these bubble screens and stuff like that, like I think that he's great as far as reading that, and he was there and available to make those plays. And so that is just really some of the things he's really going to have to work on. He's going to have to be a much better tackler and just really become a lot better downhill, because I do think that if the Washington Commanders were to get him, they're certainly going to want to get him to play in the box, play with some speed, and be physical there. So I think that that's where he's going to have to step it up a little bit. But I will say this, he does have the potential to be really good, because you're talking about a player that really has played the three positions. And I think, to me, that shows me a player that really is very good as far as just understanding and diagnosing like what is going on with the plays and just reads and stuff like that. Like I think that that's a player that immediately when you bring him in, you're going to throw a lot of stuff at him, but I think that Genesis Smith is going to pick it up. And because of that, like I think he could turn into like the pros pro for sure if he's able to put that tackling aspect to just the athletic ability that he has. And so he could be a steal here in day two. And so, that is one of the players that was mentioned there in Riggo's rag as far as the day three selection. And so next, wanted to go ahead and talk about the player that's mentioned here in the NFL.com mock draft. And so they have the Washington Commanders going with an edge. And so they are talking about Logan Fano. And so with Logan Fano. With Logan Fano, he's a player that is an edge. He's 6'4", 258, and he played for the University of Utah. And so he's played 3 seasons with them. And just looking at some of the things that I like about him. And so, number one, he was the team captain. That goes into what I just talked about with Dan Quinn talking about, captains and just leadership and everything else. He talks about that with the brotherhood of the Washington Commanders. And so I think that this is a player that certainly would fit there. As far as his skill set, what I liked most about looking at his clips is you're looking at a player that I think is very good as far as setting the edge. Like I think he's very good with his hand placement and just getting disengaged off of tackles and tight ends and things like that. And he doesn't necessarily he doesn't get drawn in, if it is a play fake, or there were several times where I saw it was like a read option or something like that. He does not get drawn in. Like he's very good and disciplined at keeping the edge. And so I like that, because even if he's not going to make the play, the fact that he's pushing things inside to his help, you love that. And that is something that actually Joe Witt Jr. talked about a lot, is that you don't need players to just individually make the plays like that. You just want them to make the right play. And so that is the one thing that I see here with Fano, is that maybe he's a player that's going to come in. You're going to tell him like, hey, we need you to always have this read here on this defense. I think he's going to be able to execute that for you. But on top of that, I think that he has some good speed. I loved his motor. So even when he's like engaged with a tackle or whoever's guarding him or whatever the case may be, he's still just looking to see where the ball is, follows ball and man, and he will find a way to get to the ball carrier. So I like the way that he finished a couple times. He will climb back in the pocket if the quarterback is climbing too. And so the pursuit was there. So I love that with him. And then, also too, I just think that you're looking at a player that when you look at some of the stats for him, like his win rate on true pass sets, that was pretty good. And his win rate as far as like in running situations is very good there. So, I mean, just a solid player that he could turn into for you. Again, he's going to probably need to certainly probably get a bit stronger and things like that. And so, we will take a look at some of the other weaknesses as we move closer to the NFL draft. But again, this looks like maybe a solid player that you might want to take a chance with the upside in a day 3 pick. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. Do you think the Washington Commanders should take Logan Fano again here, an edge? This would be day 3. We're talking about the round 3 pick. Or do you think that they should take maybe Genesis Smith at safety? And this, again, is going to be round 3 for the Washington Commanders. And by the way, if you're wondering who these selections or who these articles had taking in round 1 for the Washington Commanders, and so they had them taking David Bailey in round 1. This was actually according to Riggo's rag. And so again, if you want to read that, they have them taking David Bailey. We've talked about him. And then when you look at the NFL.com mock draft, they actually have the Washington Commanders taking Caleb Downs. So we've talked about that before. And I've said this, that literally that's, you see a lot of mock drafts out there that have the Washington Commanders taking Caleb Downs. And so we talked about him. We're going to talk about some more NFL draft prospects. But bottom line here, I think no matter what happens with the Washington Commanders, they really need to get this thing right. And I do think that the defense is going to be one of the things that has to be a priority in this upcoming NFL draft. I think that this team is going to have to get faster. They need to get younger. And I think that they need to get more versatile. And so both of these players, I think, could possibly be versatile chess pieces here. One of the things that I forgot to mention with Fano is he actually is a player that he can line up in a 3-point stance, or he's a standing rusher as well. And so you can line him up in different situations, and he might be able to get it done for you. But anyhow, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Again, just looking at some of these NFL draft prospects in day number 2, round 3. And so as we always say, look, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.